Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kristen and y'all, it's been a minute. So I figured I would kind of do a little bit of a check-in with you. So I mentioned it on the channel before, but I went back to work. So I am back working full-time with both babies at home and trying to work while doing them at the same time absolutely has been a challenge, to say the least. Trying to find a new routine, a new rhythm to things when you have a baby that is teething, and it pretty much feels like it's impossible to find a rhythm, if I'm honest with you, which has me taking more frequent breaks at work, which has me working longer hours to make up the time from breaks to like breastfeed, or times when I feel like I'm going slower than I should be going. So I am in a higher level position at work. So just me personally, I put a lot of pressure on myself to not just perform, but to exceed expectations. And I've always been that way. I am a Capricorn through and through, okay? I I will be honest, I am very career driven. So I have always had career ambitions. I have always strived to really excel at whatever it is that I decide to do. I am a little bit of a perfectionist in a sometimes annoying way. I am calling myself out here, but transitioning back with two babies is very different from having at that time, a 3-year-old and working from home and balancing her. So with my 4-year-old, I only ever had to drop her off to have somebody watch her one time. In the entirety of me working since having her, I've only not had her with me for one shift. And I think her essentially being raised in that kind of environment, like, we had to learn how to work with and around each other. She learned the cadences and the cues. I learned a rhythm and a pattern that worked for her while still allowed me to get my work done. It worked. And I'm essentially having to do the same thing with this baby, but obviously with more kids. And so it's harder because it's not just one little one's routine. It's her routine, it's the 4-year-old's routine, it's my routine, it's the demands of work. I'm in a much higher level position now than I was when I had my now 4-year-old. So there's different levels of demands. There's more demand put on me, period. And I've always been very transparent with you guys. It's definitely been an adjustment. I don't want you to think it's been easy. I don't want you to think that it is ever easy to be a parent and to work full time while taking care of your kids. To be honest with you, I look back on the years and I don't even know how I got through. Grace of God. That's all I can say. Grace of God. Because it was rough, okay? It has been rough. And so I'm trying to find my footing there, to find what works best for all of us in that capacity. And I essentially stepped into a new role from when I was pregnant to now. So I actually transitioned to a new role while on maternity leave. And so I'm having to learn the responsibilities, the ropes, what it is that they expect of me in this new role. And obviously you want to put your best foot forward. So trying to make sure that I really do a good job with it all. And just again, I hold myself to really high standards, and I don't like to fall short. I don't like to make mistakes. I don't like to walk into something not knowing enough about it to have a solid grasp of the information to either work in and with it or to at least have a conversation on it. I'm a research girly. I've said that before. I am a hardcore research girly. I love research, okay? I like diving in. I like researching things. I like finding things that other people miss. I just enjoy all of that. So I very much am in my wheelhouse of what I truly love to do, but it's more so just pivoting to a new standard of expectation and contributing in a much greater capacity than I was before, supporting multiple different departments and levels of leadership and stuff like that. So I have that going on, and that of course has sucked up a lot of time because I'm working very long hours while still exclusively breastfeeding and taking care of both kids and trying to keep up with things around the house and not keeping up with things around the house, just to be all the way real with you. And, really just trying to push through, if I'm honest with you. I've had several doctor's appointments as well, and I know I've mentioned it on my channel before, but y'all, my surgery is coming up, okay? So if you are new here, my C-section incision burst open, and that was a whole big ordeal. And it was a very long recovery. It was a rough recovery. It required multiple procedures. I had a wound vac, JP drain, just everything. I have an adhesive allergy, so you can see that that did not go well, and so my stomach was covered in welts and hives, and just it went from worse to even worse than I thought it could possibly get. And after so many months of fighting through all of that, finally got to a place where it's healed enough to now go in and to fix it, because it essentially left me very disfigured, disformed. It shifted my organs, my uterus, like nothing is the same. Absolutely nothing is the same. And part of what I've had to process recently as well is my surgeon informed me that all of this could have been avoided. And it literally goes back to the OB's choice in how they did my C-section. If they had just done it slightly differently, all of this could have been avoided. And that's really hard to hear and really hard to process and to handle, because this has had such a huge, gosh, I'm getting emotional, a huge impact on my life. It literally changed everything. The whole trajectory of my maternity leave, just where I thought I would be. I'm now back to work and about to have another surgery. When you go out on maternity leave, first off, my company doesn't pay for maternity leave, so you have to file a short-term disability claim. So you only get a fraction of a percentage of your pay. But on top of that, they require you to completely use up all of your PTO before that kicks in. So I came back to work with 0 PTO. So I have no grace there. So I literally am going to be doing these, doctor's appointments coming up for pre-op testing, everything, and having to make up the time. And then on top of that, the day of my surgery, that's the only day that I'm taking off from work. So I will literally be going back to work the very next day with both kids, with drains, the whole 9 yards. I am not quite sure how I'm going to get through that, but I have gotten through a lot in life. So it's one of those things where I am on a wing and a prayer, and I am hoping for the best. I am praying so hard that this is the last surgery that I have to have for a really long time. Your girl needs a break, okay? If you are new here, I have had over, I think this will be my 32nd, 33rd surgery in my life. I've literally been having surgeries since I was 2 years old. I was born with heart issues. I have a pacemaker. Yeah, I have a lot going on. One of the things that I talk about more frequently on my channel is that I do have lipedema, and I talk about that more so than my heart issues just because representation matters. And unfortunately, there are not a lot of people with lipedema who are speaking out about it. And so I feel like there's less representation for lipedema versus, you know, my autonomic dysfunction or, you know, having a pacemaker at a super young age and stuff like that. If anybody ever has any questions though, if you want to know something, or if you have something going on medically speaking, you want to know if there's somebody else out there who, is in the same boat so that you are not alone, please, by all means, feel free to leave a comment down below. Feel free to ask any questions. I am an open book in a lot of ways, so there's very little that I really wouldn't answer. I think what I wouldn't answer should probably be obvious to those of us with a moral compass and conscience. But yeah, so I have just had a lot going on, and I'm just trying to navigate through all of that. If you are new to my channel, I also have recently been diagnosed, officially diagnosed, we will say, because I've had it for a while, but just everything that happened here made it all a million times worse. But I got a positive confirmation of adenomyosis. I also have had PCS for, oh gosh, I think it's been over 15 years. I don't remember the exact amount of time, but it's been the majority of my adult life. I was somebody who kind of, I don't know if you would call it lucky or not, but I was somebody who unfortunately had some, cystic ovaries, we will say, and it was caught on, on a scan. So they were able to positively diagnose me with that a long time ago, and I have been lucky in having a lot of my symptoms and everything under control. To be honest with you, prior to all of this happening, I had gotten to a really good place, you guys. And I think that's probably the hardest part of processing that this could have been avoided, is that it literally has drastically changed my life. It's disfigured me. It has changed me mentally, emotionally. It has had a huge impact on me physically, both externally and internally. It has really made me have to face and to think about things that a lot of people don't, which is kind of crazy because obviously I have this whole long list of health issues that I've had for a really long time, but then here comes this C-section, incision bursting open, and that, like, you would think that all of these would have me like facing, I don't want to say doomsday, but facing the possibility of passing young and stuff like that, and what about my kids and everything like that. But honestly, this situation made me face it in a very real and raw and immediate way that I hadn't before. And I think part of that also was exacerbated by the fact that I had just had a baby. and I was exclusively breastfeeding. I'm still exclusively breastfeeding, and just you have all these hormones and everything going through you, and you are more emotional, you are more vulnerable, and you are more sensitive, period. And so you process, you handle, and you deal with things slightly differently in the immediate postpartum months versus, years later. And all of this has really just challenged me in some very, very new and honestly uncomfortable ways. Um, yeah. I, I'm pushing through a lot, you guys. I am mentally processing, emotionally trying to process a lot of things all at once. And I have been for a while. I don't want it to seem like this is all of a sudden. Um, Facing, another surgery coming up, knowing what I'm going to have to do on the other side of it is, it can be a lot. And I, I've had to figure out a lot of things alone, if I'm honest. And that plays a part in it. That plays a part in what you think about and what you consider when it comes to your kids, just in life in general. If things aren't necessarily going the way that you envision them going, there's always a point of reconciliation. There's always a point where you have to not just face the fact that they aren't going to be the way that you had hoped or wanted them to be, but you have to process that emotionally. And sometimes there's actually a little bit of a grieving process with that, especially if you were really attached to how you wanted them to be. And I'm somebody where I don't necessarily put hard expectations on other people, but I definitely put hard expectations on myself. And having the physical limitations that I did so magnified for those months postpartum, and not being able to do so much that I wanted to do, still not being able to do what I want to do in so many ways, has been really hard for me, because I'm somebody where I've had the laundry list of medical issues since I was young. I had to learn at a young age to push through all of that, because let's be honest, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you're struggling with this, and this. At the end of the day, they just want it to get done. If you're employed by someone, they don't care about your excuses. They just want to know that it's getting done, that it got done, that you did it on time. And I have learned as I have, you gain and lose friendships over the years. You have seasons of life where you are very lonely, and seasons of life where maybe you have a little bit of a community, but you don't know how long that is going to last. So I've really had to just, if I'm honest with you, I've really had to learn to not rely on anybody else, and to really just rely on myself, which has forced me to have really high standards for myself. And I don't allow myself to have excuses. It doesn't matter if I feel like crap. I still need to wake up, still need to feed and take care of the babies, still need to go to work, still need to do everything. And it's one of those things where, especially in this season of life with the baby, like, I normally should sleep more to compensate for the extra stress and strain that is put on my body, but we are in a sleep regression and exclusively breastfeeding and all of these things, and so I don't get the chance to do that. I don't have the opportunity to make up for it. And so over time, that's worn me down more and more and more. And I know that's not good. I'm aware of it, but it's something where this is just the season. It's the season that I'm in, and just have to push through. And so that's what I'm doing. I do have multiple YouTube videos that I have, partially edited. Like 2 of them are edited. I just have to do voiceovers. I'll be honest with you, finding time to do a voiceover has actually been more of a struggle than I thought it would be, just because constantly being interrupted, working long hours, just, all of the stuff. And normally, like right now, I got baby down to sleep. Like I fed her, I put her down to sleep in bed, and I'm recording this now just to kind of do like a little chitty chat, catch up with you, so you guys kind of know what's going on. I am continuing to film still. It's just taking me longer to actually put it out because of everything that I have going on right now. And I definitely have more videos coming. They are in the works. Hopefully you guys will just give me a little bit of grace and a little bit of patience when it comes to actually putting them out for you. I have taken y'all's feedback. I have looked at the analytics because I am a numbers girl, and you guys very much prefer hauls. So hauls, you're okay with shop with me's, but hauls, fashion, outfits of the day, all things like that, that is overwhelmingly what you guys prefer on my channel. So that is, honestly, I mean, if that's what you guys want, then that is what I'm going to aim to give you. Obviously, my pocketbooks are not endless, so I don't want you to think that I'm going to be doing a new haul every other week, because that's not the case. But I definitely have been trying to get things here and there to film things surrounding that. I will still, just because for me personally it is important to me, I will still sprinkle in, like stuff in the Is It Normal series. I will still sprinkle in, we will call them the unadulterated Kristen videos. But I do want to acknowledge that I have heard you guys. I do see your comments. I see the analytics, all of that stuff. So I am going to be aiming to give you more of what it is that you guys like and want to see. And by all means, if there's something that I haven't done yet that you are interested in, please go ahead and drop it down below. And baby just woke up. So I guess I'm going to end this here, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And hopefully this little chitty chatty check-in was good. And until the next video.